Chapter 1 Unreal Arrival. The blaring alarm pierced the thick silence of the warehouse. A shrill scream that reverberated off metal walls and wooden crates. Above the noise, the heavy clunking of machinery sounded like a death knell in the eerie quiet. Liam's heart pounded against his ribcage as he raced to the open garage door at the back, the air rushing past him, cold and unyielding. He skidded to a halt just in time to see something drop from the night sky, a small, sleek craft that sliced through clouds like a knife through butter. It landed with a faint hiss, rolling slightly on landing to stop dead center of the warehouse floor. The door slid open, revealing a figure waiting inside, a slender silhouette, almost humanoid, yet unmistakably otherworldly. "Liam," the voice called out, metallic and smooth as machine but somehow warm and welcoming. "I brought you something special." The figure stepped forward, emerging fully from the ship, and Liam's eyes widened at the sight. She was a dragon woman, her form draped in what appeared to be scales that shimmered in shades of silver and blue, wings folded neatly against her back. Her gaze met his, unflinching, a mix of curiosity and an almost playful challenge. Who are you?" Liam stammered, clutching at the cold concrete wall behind him for support. He felt like he was trapped in a dream, or worse, a nightmare. The dragon woman's lips curved into a smile that neither reassured nor frightened, it simply invited questions. "I am Eira," she said, her voice rich with a deep resonance that sent chills down his spine. "And you ordered something quite extraordinary." "Something extraordinary?" Liam's mind raced back to the day he placed that strange order on an even stranger website. He vaguely recalled clicking through a series of cryptic offerings, selecting one that seemed too good to be true, a miniature Shenzhou Prime Excavator Ship, capable of interstellar travel and far beyond his wildest dreams. Now it was here, in the form of this ship and its enigmatic pilot. Eira approached him, her steps quiet despite the scale of her feat. "You ordered a miniature alien excavator for terrestrial use, correct?" Her eyes scanned him, as if trying to read his thoughts. "Yes," Liam managed to nod, swallowing hard. But you didn't answer my question. Who are you?" "What is this?" Eira's smile widened, and she gestured back towards the ship. "Enter if you dare. We have much to discuss." Liam hesitated, his instincts urging him to flee. Yet, there was something magnetic about Eira's presence, pulling him towards the unknown. He took a step forward, his feet moving almost of their own accord. Before he could fully turn, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed behind him. Liam spun around, just in time to see the warehouse door slam open, revealing a group of armed guards pouring inside. The first man was shouting orders into a walkie-talkie, his eyes scanning the scene with alarm as they caught sight of Eira. "Stay here, Mr. Hansen," he barked at Liam, aiming his weapon directly at Eira. "Secure the area." Eira's expression didn't change. She simply looked down at Liam with a hint of amusement. "This was not part of your order," she noted dryly. "Wait. Hold on." Liam tried to intervene, but his voice cut through the tension like a knife, too thin and wavering to have any effect. "We need to verify this isn't some kind of trap," the lead guard shouted, moving closer with an increasingly agitated air. "You there," he pointed at Eira, "get inside that ship." Eira tilted her head slightly, considering him for a moment before stepping back into the craft. The door closed behind her with an ominous finality, sealing her away. Liam's heart was in his throat as he watched the guards advance, their guns trained on the ship. "What do we do?" one of them asked, eyes darting nervously between Eira's ship and Liam. Liam's mind raced. He needed to figure out what was happening here before things went from strange to catastrophic. "We need to calm down," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "This is a misunderstanding." The lead guard eyed him skeptically, but seemed to consider Liam's words. "All right, Hansen, you stay by the ship and don't make any sudden moves," he warned. Liam nodded, though his thoughts were in chaos. What had he gotten himself into? As the guards began to circle the ship, checking for anything out of place, Eira's voice suddenly echoed from inside the craft, clear and commanding. "Mr. Hansen, if you wish to understand the purpose of this encounter, you must come closer," she said. "There are no traps, only truths." Trapped between the armed men and a creature he could barely comprehend, Liam had no choice but to move forward. His feet carried him towards the ship, his heart pounding with each step. "Hold it right there," one of the guards yelled, aiming his weapon again. Liam stopped short, eyes flicking between the ship and the armed men. He needed a moment to think a way out of this surreal predicament. Eira's voice, however, had an almost hypnotic quality, urging him towards the mystery. "Do not be afraid," she said softly, her words cutting through the tension like a knife through butter. "All will be revealed in time." In that moment, Liam's decision was made. He took a deep breath and stepped closer to the ship, his hand reaching out as if to touch the cold metal of its hull. Just as his fingers brushed against it, the ship's door slid open again, revealing Eira standing there with an unreadable expression. "Come," she said simply. The lead guard, seeing this, raised his weapon again, ready to intervene. "No one moves," he shouted. "Sir, if we don't let him in, what happens then?" another guard asked, looking unsure but still wary. Liam didn't wait for an answer. He turned sharply and stepped into the ship, the door closing behind him with a whoosh. The guard's shouts faded into the distance as the darkness enveloped him, the air inside cool and crisp against his skin. Eira moved to the control panel, her fingers moving with a fluid grace as she initiated something on the screen. "Prepare yourself," she said, her voice now filled with an almost playful intrigue. "You are about to witness the extraordinary." The ship began to hum softly, a low thrumming vibration building in intensity. Liam's pulse raced as he realized they were about to take off. He stumbled back, eyes wide with both terror and wonder. "We're leaving?" he blurted out, panic rising in his voice. "Yes," Eira replied calmly. "It is time for your journey to begin." The world outside the ship dimmed as the craft lifted from the ground, its ascent silent and swift. Liam pressed himself against the wall as the floor beneath him tilted, the sensation of moving through air filling him with both awe and fear. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Eira turned to face him, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "You will find out soon enough, Liam Hansen," she said, her voice now carrying an almost ethereal quality. "But for now, trust me." The city below them blurred into a haze of lights and shadows as the ship ascended higher into the night sky. Liam's mind was a whirlwind of questions and possibilities, each one pressing him closer to the brink of sanity. What had he gotten himself into? And who was this Eira? And what did she want from him? As the ship continued its ascent into the stars, the only thing certain for Liam was that nothing would ever be the same again. The unknown stretched out before him like a dark, shimmering horizon, filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. And in that moment, Liam knew one thing: he had no choice but to go deeper into the unknown, no matter the cost. The ship's hum grew louder, an almost soothing sound that seemed to promise answers and revelations. Whatever lay ahead, Liam was going to find out soon enough, and whatever happened next would be far more extraordinary than anything he could have imagined. The wind picked up as Liam approached a towering iron gate that was flanked by two large stone pillars, each carved with intricate designs of vines and flowers that seemed to move in the breeze. A single brass knocker in the shape of an owl's head was set into the pillar on his left. He stepped forward and raised his hand to knock, but before his fingers could connect with the cold metal, the gate swung inward as if drawn by unseen hands. Stepping through, Liam found himself inside a vast garden that stretched out like an emerald sea under the moonlight. The air was filled with the scent of jasmine and honeysuckle, and the sound of water bubbling from somewhere in the distance. Pathways made of cobblestones led off in various directions, each bordered by rows of towering hedges meticulously trimmed into geometric shapes. In the center of this botanical labyrinth stood a fountain that shimmered under the moon's glow, its waters whispering secrets as they cascaded down. Liam wandered along the first path he came across, his mind racing with theories about where he was and what could possibly have brought him here. As he walked, the garden seemed to shift and change around him, and though it looked endless, he felt a strange certainty guiding his steps towards a specific destination. He found himself drawn towards an especially dense grove of trees, whose leaves shone in a myriad of colors, reflecting the moonlight with almost unnatural intensity. Entering the grove, the air became thick with a golden light that seemed to emanate from within the heart of each tree. As Liam moved deeper into the forest, he began to see that each tree was more than just a collection of leaves and branches. It was an entity, breathing, alive, and filled with a knowledge far older than any recorded history. In the heart of the grove stood a single oak tree, its trunk so wide it seemed to fill the entire path. As Liam approached, he noticed that carved into its bark were intricate symbols that pulsed with an ethereal light, almost as if they were breath. Along with the tree itself, the symbols seemed to be calling to him, and without thinking, he reached out a hand to touch one. The moment his fingers brushed against the wood, a burst of information flooded his mind: a history of this place, its purpose, and the role it had played in shaping not only the world but the very fabric of reality itself. The tree was an ancient guardian, tasked with holding together the threads that connected every era, every life, every moment in time. Understanding washed over Liam like a wave. He was not just a visitor here, he was a chosen one, brought to this sacred grove for a reason far beyond his own understanding. The knowledge flowing through him was overwhelming yet exhilarating, and as the realization settled into his bones, he felt a deep sense of responsibility wash over him. With his mind now filled with truths and questions, Liam knew that whatever he discovered next would either unravel the mystery behind the changes in his life or send him deeper into a world where magic and reality intertwine. And though fear tugged at him, curiosity burned brighter, urging him to push forward. He needed to know what lay beyond this oak tree, in the heart of the ancient grove, for there he would find the answers that had been eluding him all along. As he continued through the grove, stepping between the shifting trees and the glowing symbols, Liam felt a strange sense of homecoming. This was where his path had truly begun, and it was here that it would lead him to its ultimate conclusion, a journey that promised not only answers but transformation. With each step, the weight of expectation grew heavier on his shoulders, but so too did the thrill of discovery. Whatever lay ahead in this magical realm, Liam felt a deep-seated confidence that he would find the truth he sought, and perhaps even more than he could have ever imagined. Liam's confidence was tested almost immediately as he wandered further into the heart of the enchanted forest, where the trees stood taller and closer together, their branches reaching out like bony fingers. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl or the rustle of unseen creatures scurrying through the underbrush. He had left his sword strapped to his back, but the weight of it was reassuring nonetheless. As he moved deeper into the forest, a figure darted out from between two massive oaks. It was the dragon woman, her scales catching the dim light and reflecting it in a dazzling array of blues and greens. She paused, staring at him with large, wary eyes before backing away into the shadows. "Liam," she called softly, "follow me." He hesitated, unsure if he should trust the creature who had only just appeared to him, but there was something in her voice that made him feel a strange pull, an undeniable connection. He stepped forward, and she led him through a winding path that seemed almost impossible for him to have found on his own. The trail opened into a clearing, where the sun's rays broke through the canopy, illuminating a shimmering pool of water. The dragon woman approached the pond, her scales glistening in the light as she dipped a claw into the cool water and lifted a hand to her face. To Liam's astonishment, her hand became that of a young woman, smooth and delicate. "Is this real?" Liam asked, his voice barely above a whisper as he looked at the transformation before him. "It is," she replied, her voice now softer and more human sounding. "I am called Zephyr. I have watched you, Liam. I know what you seek, but there are many forces here who do not wish for the truth to be revealed." Liam stepped closer to the pool, his reflection showing a similar transformation as he looked at himself. He was no longer the same person who had entered the forest hours before. His eyes were clearer, his demeanor more assured. "What do you want from me?" he asked, though he felt like he already knew the answer. Zephyr's hand returned to its dragon form. "You possess something that many would kill for, the ability to change this realm and those within it. But first, you must prove yourself. There are trials ahead. Are you ready?" Liam didn't hesitate. "Lead the way." They journeyed on, deeper into the unknown, where the terrain grew increasingly treacherous. The forest gave way to a vast, seemingly endless plain covered in golden grass that swayed gently in the wind. As they moved across the open ground, Liam noticed figures watching them from the horizon, their eyes fixed intently on him and Zephyr. "What are those?" Liam asked, his voice tinged with unease. "Creators of illusion and deception," Zephyr said grimly. "They are here to test you. Do not look at them directly." Suddenly, a high-pitched whine filled the air, and from the sky descended several small, hovering drones, each no larger than Liam's hand, but equipped with glowing sensors that scanned every inch of him and Zephyr. "Stay focused," Zephyr warned as they continued forward. "They are trying to distract you." The drones swooped closer, circling around them in tight patterns and emitting beams of light designed to disorient. But Liam kept his eyes fixed straight ahead, determined not to let the illusions cloud his judgment or distract him from his path. As they approached a large, ancient stone pillar that stood tall and imposing on the horizon, Zephyr stopped short and turned to face him. "Beyond this point lies the heart of magic in this realm. What you find there will be the ultimate test." Liam nodded grimly, feeling a mix of anticipation and dread. "I'm ready." They walked toward the pillar together, but as they approached, it began to shift and change, its surface rippling like water. The air grew thick with tension, and Zephyr's voice dropped to a whisper. "Be careful," she said. "This is where the true guardians lie in wait." The pillar shifted fully, revealing a door that shimmered with an otherworldly light. Beyond it, Liam could sense an aura of power, of ancient magic waiting to be unleashed. Zephyr nodded at him, her gaze intense and reassuring. "Go," she said simply. "You know what must be done." Liam took a deep breath and stepped through the door. The room beyond was dark, lit only by faint runes etched into the stone walls that pulsed with a soft, mystical light. The floor was cold under his feet as he walked forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He could hear Zephyr's voice echoing back to him from outside the chamber. "Liam," she said again, though this time it felt more like a memory. "You have been chosen for a reason. Embrace your destiny." In the center of the room stood a pedestal upon which rested an ancient, glowing orb that pulsed with energy. Liam approached it cautiously, his hand trembling slightly as he reached out to touch it. As his fingers brushed against the orb, a surge of energy coursed through him, filling his mind and senses with visions of the past, present, and future all at once. The realm's secrets were laid bare before him, of magic, power, and the delicate balance between them. And then, as abruptly as it had begun, the vision faded. Liam found himself gasping for breath, the room spinning around him. Zephyr was there, her form shifting again from human to dragon in a swift transformation. "What did you see?" she asked urgently. Liam hesitated, trying to gather his thoughts. The truth about the magic here, it's not just a force, but a living entity that can be corrupted and controlled. Zephyr's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. That much we knew, but the details, this is important. She paused, then continued. There are others who would use this power for themselves. You must be wary. Who? Liam asked, feeling a surge of protectiveness for what he now understood. Zephyr's voice took on an icy edge. Those who seek to disrupt the balance. There are those within even our own ranks. Realization dawned on Liam. You mean, yes, she nodded grimly. There is betrayal within, and you will need allies to face it. As if on cue, the door behind them swung open with a creak, and several figures stepped through. Watchers from the plane, now revealed as shadowy entities with elongated limbs and obsidian eyes. Zephyr tensed beside Liam. They have anticipated your actions. The test is not just of magic, but of trust. One of the shadow figures spoke in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. You think you've found truth here? You will be destroyed by it. Liam stepped forward defiantly. I won as I fought for the truths I saw. He turned back to Zephyr. Help me, and we can turn this around. We can protect what is right. Zephyr's eyes glowed with determination. Together perhaps we can. But as she spoke, another figure emerged from the shadows, one who seemed oddly familiar. Liam's heart stopped as he recognized the face of a fellow traveler from his journey, now twisted and consumed by darkness. Betrayal, Zephyr whispered, her claws flexing. The scene erupted into chaos as the dark figure lunged at them, and Liam felt a surge of power within him, drawing upon both human resolve and dragon instinct to fight back against the corrupting influence threatening to tear the realm apart. The battle was fierce, with twists and turns that left no clear victor until a final, desperate move by Zephyr shattered the dark hold on their companion. In the aftermath, Liam stood, panting heavily, as Zephyr transformed back into her human form, her eyes filled with a mix of awe and sorrow. We have won this battle, she said quietly, though it was clear that more challenges lay ahead. But the war is far from over. As they gazed at each other across the remains of their foes, Liam felt a deeper connection than ever before, a bond forged in fire and magic, a shared commitment to protect the realm from those who would destroy it. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: together they could face anything. Yet, as he looked into Zephyr's eyes, a new thought stirred within him, one that left him breathless with possibility. There was more to this journey than just protecting the realm. There was an understanding that transcended their roles, a connection that was not merely about duty or destiny, but something deeply personal and profound. The truth had been found, and it was only the beginning of a far larger story. With the completion of the section, a significant twist has been introduced: a betrayal from an unexpected ally, deepening the stakes and adding complexity to the relationship between Liam and Zephyr. This event creates further tension and sets up future conflicts, while emphasizing the theme of trust and the importance of their partnership in protecting the magical realm. As the sun set over the ancient city of Eldoria, casting long shadows through the cobblestone streets, Eira and Kale found themselves standing at a crossroads. The air was thick with unspoken words and the weight of recent events that had strained their once seamless partnership. Around them, the city hummed with the constant undercurrent of magic, its inhabitants going about their lives blissfully, unaware of the looming danger that threatened not just their home, but the entire magical realm. Eira, Kale began, his voice heavy with reluctance. We need to discuss what happened earlier. She turned to face him, her eyes narrowing. There's nothing to discuss. We both acted on our instincts. But that's exactly it, he argued. Our instincts aren't enough anymore. We need a clearer plan, better communication. Eira sighed, the frustration evident in her posture. I understand your concern, but we can't afford to spend time debating every decision. We need to take action." Cale shook his head. "Action isn't just charging forward. It's understanding each other's limits and capabilities." "Your point is well taken," Eira conceded, though her tone remained guarded. She folded her arms across her chest, a small gesture that nonetheless communicated her unease. The tension between them was palpable, hanging in the air like an uninvited guest. Yet it wasn't just about this moment, it was about the countless similar instances where the lines of trust had frayed and needed repair. The magical realm relied on their partnership to withstand the encroaching darkness, and every moment they hesitated or argued eroded that foundation. As they walked back towards their quarters within the great library, the silence between them was heavy with the weight of unresolved issues. The library's towering shelves groaned under the weight of centuries' worth of ancient texts, scrolls, and artifacts, a repository of knowledge that could either save them or be their downfall if misused. Inside, they found their mentor, Master Thorn, poring over an intricately bound book filled with arcane symbols. "Ah, you're back," he said without looking up, his voice carrying a note of weariness. "I've been reviewing old records on the shadow creatures you encountered. They appear to be more numerous and aggressive than what's recorded here," Eira reported, her tone somber as she described their latest encounter. Master Thorn nodded, his brow furrowing. "This is indeed troubling. The balance of power is shifting, perhaps because of recent political changes in the human realm." Cale frowned. Could there be a connection between the shadow creatures and those political upheavals? "It's possible," Master Thorn admitted. "Ancient ties often bind the human and magical realms together more closely than we realize." Eira's eyes flashed with determination. "We need to find out how these changes are affecting our realm. Only then can we better prepare." Master Thorn looked from her to Cale, his gaze settling on each of them in turn. "I agree, but remember, any information you gather must be carefully evaluated. Missteps could have dire consequences." The night deepened as Eira and Cale prepared for their next mission to investigate the human realm's recent political shifts and uncover potential connections to the rising threat in Eldoria. As they made their preparations, the air buzzed with the urgency of their task. Each movement was deliberate, each action steeped in the knowledge that mistakes could be catastrophic. Eira checked her pack once more, ensuring she had everything she needed for the journey ahead, while Cale reviewed his notes on the magical artifacts they intended to carry as safeguards against the shadow creatures. Their shared focus on the task at hand helped to quiet the tension between them, though it didn't entirely dissipate. Each of them knew that their success depended not just on their skills and knowledge, but on their ability to work together seamlessly. In the quiet before dawn, they gathered outside the library gates, their equipment and supplies prepared for the journey. Master Thorn joined them, his presence a reassuring constant amidst the uncertainty. "Remember," he advised, "trust in each other's judgment and work together as you have always done. This new challenge may be more complex, but your partnership is our greatest asset." They nodded solemnly, the weight of those words settling over them like a cloak. As they set out into the unknown, the city of Eldoria and its inhabitants remained behind, unaware that their fate was intrinsically tied to the success of Eira and Cale's mission. The journey ahead promised challenges, but it also held the potential for growth and redemption in their partnership. As they stepped into the darkening sky, the moon casting long shadows ahead, both Eira and Cale felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road was fraught with danger, but together they could face it and perhaps even emerge stronger from the struggle. The journey promised not just the unraveling of mysteries, but the rebuilding of trust and the solidifying of a bond that would be tested in ways they couldn't yet comprehend. Their path forward was shrouded in mystery and foreboding, but there was no turning back now. The realm's fate and their own hung in the balance. With each step, Eira and Kale moved closer to the heart of the growing conflict, ready to confront whatever lay ahead with a newfound resolve. They would forge ahead, together, trusting not just in themselves, but in the unbreakable bond that bound them to one another. The night was dark and full of stars, but for them, it was the backdrop to their final push toward the ancient ruins. They had faced countless dangers together, their bond deepening with every challenge they overcame. Now, as the ancient stones loomed ahead, the air crackled with an energy that was both thrilling and fraught with uncertainty. The alien woman, her scales shimmering like moonlit water, looked over at her dragon companion. There was something in her eyes, a depth of feeling she rarely showed. She stepped closer to him, their breaths mingling in the cold night air. The human, heart pounding, felt a surge of emotion, his hand reaching out almost unconsciously, fingers brushing against her scaled arm. "Are you ready?" he asked, voice hoarse with the weight of what lay ahead and the depth of his feelings for her. The dragon woman's eyes softened further, a rare show of vulnerability. "With you," she whispered, her breath warm on his skin. Her hand clasped around his, their fingers intertwining in a silent vow. They moved forward, the ruins looming larger with each step, as if daring them to approach. Shadows played across the ancient stones, whispering secrets of the past. The air grew colder, heavy with anticipation, and the unseen presence of forces aligned against them. As they neared the heart of the ruins, an ancient gate began to slowly open, revealing a cavernous passage bathed in a blinding light. The human hesitated for a moment, a sense of dread mixed with the overwhelming desire to protect the one he had come to love. "Let's go," the dragon woman urged gently, her eyes reflecting her determination and her deep trust in him. He nodded, swallowing hard against the lump in his throat. Hand in hand, they stepped into the light, leaving the darkness behind them. Inside, a grand chamber awaited, its walls inscribed with symbols that pulsed and shifted as if alive. At the center stood an ancient artifact, the source of their quest's ultimate goal: restoration to their original forms, and the freedom to embrace their true selves without fear of consequence. Yet, as they approached, the air thickened with a presence that was both unseen and unmistakable. It whispered of challenges yet to be faced, of trials that would test them beyond endurance. The human felt a chill run down his spine, but when he looked at the dragon woman, he saw nothing but resolve and unspoken confidence. In that moment, she spoke words that carried the weight of centuries. "We are not alone. We have each other." The declaration hung in the air like a promise, the room echoing with its strength. The human felt his heart swell, the connection between them burning bright and fierce. She took the lead, moving closer to the artifact, her movements smooth and sure, radiating power and grace. He followed, every step affirming his bond with her, his love and loyalty as unbreakable as the ancient stones around them. As they reached the artifact, a blinding light burst forth, enveloping them. The world shifted, sensations swirled around them, weaving reality into an intricate tapestry of memory and magic. In that dizzying moment, time seemed to pause, allowing every touch, every glance, every word shared between them to be etched into the fabric of their existence. Finally, as the light faded, they stood once more in the ruins, but with a difference that was immediate and profound. The transformation had begun. Her scales dulled, her tail retracting subtly. His clothes vanished, replaced by a skin covered in shimmering scales, wings budding from his back. Yet, the most significant change was within them, not just physical, but emotional. They understood each other better, their souls having woven tighter bonds through the shared trials. He turned to her, their hands lingering in a touch that spoke of so much more than mere contact. "Who are we now?" he asked softly. She smiled, a rare and breathtaking sight, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears of joy and sorrow. "We are who we've always been, just closer." Hand in hand, they stepped out of the ruins, back into the night, bound by more than just their love for each other, but by the promise of a shared future, undefined yet brimming with possibility. In that moment, under the stars that seemed to twinkle with approval, they were a testament to the unyielding strength of their bond. Their journey had taken them beyond limits and expectations, testing the very fabric of what it means to be together. Yet, as they walked forward into the unknown, hand in hand, the answer was clear: they were meant for this, meant for each other. In the silence that followed, as dawn began to paint the sky in hues of pink and orange, she looked at him one last time before turning away. As she did, her tail flicked slightly and her wings unfurled, a beautiful testament to her transformation. "Until we meet again," she whispered softly, not looking back, leaving him with one final breath that carried the scent of home and adventure. He smiled through his tears, knowing full well they would. In that moment, their bond was sealed not just by shared trials, but by the promise of a future, glowing and unresolved. The silence stretched, the horizon waiting expectantly. Only one word remained to be said. "Always, always," she replied, her voice a gentle echo in the quiet room. They held each other for what felt like an eternity, their hearts beating as one. When she finally pulled back, there was a sparkle in her eyes that made him feel whole again. She wiped away a stray tear from his cheek with her thumb, and he offered her a small but sincere smile. "Promise me," he whispered, his voice barely above a whisper. She knew what he meant without asking. The promise they'd made to each other in the past had been tested, but now it was time to reinforce it with renewed vigor. "You know I will," she replied, squeezing his hand tightly. They stood there, the weight of their shared history pressing down on them, but also buoying them up. As the night wore on, they talked about everything and nothing, recounting old memories and weaving new ones together. They sought to mend the frayed edges of their relationship. Each story brought laughter and tears, and every tear left a shimmering trail across her cheeks, making him wish he could wipe them away. By morning, as dawn painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, they both felt lighter than when they'd arrived. Their hands intertwined, fingers laced together like a promise never to let go again. "We'll see this through," he said, looking out at the horizon. The sun peeked over the edge of the world, casting light on an uncertain future, but also on endless possibilities. They spent the day wandering through the nearby town, discovering hidden corners and sharing stories with newfound vigor. Every laugh, every joke, every shared glance reaffirmed their bond. When evening fell, they sat by a small creek, the water whispering secrets of its own. "Are you scared?" she asked softly, her head tilted to the side. He sighed, contemplating his answer. "A little," he admitted, "but I trust us." His gaze was unwavering as he turned to look at her. "We've faced so much already, and we're still here." She leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss to his cheek. "Together we can face anything," she whispered, her breath warm against his skin. That night, as they lay side by side under the stars, they talked about dreams and aspirations. Plans for the future began to take shape, vague at first, but slowly coming into focus. He wanted to travel more, to see different parts of the world and understand their unique cultures. She hoped to write a novel, something that would capture the essence of their experiences, the struggles and triumphs that had shaped them. Each dream, when shared with the other, seemed to gain life and vibrancy. They talked until the first light of dawn painted streaks across the sky, and then they fell into a deep, peaceful sleep, wrapped in each other's arms. In the morning, the world felt brighter somehow. The weight of uncertainty had lifted, replaced by hope and excitement for what lay ahead. Over the weeks that followed, their relationship grew stronger, rooted in trust and unwavering support. They faced challenges together, sharing the load as one unit. When he lost a job opportunity, she was there with words of encouragement. When she hit a roadblock with her writing, he offered new perspectives and pushed her to keep trying. Each victory, no matter how small, was celebrated. Each setback was shared and overcome. They became an unstoppable force, their bond unbreakable. As seasons changed, and they continued on this journey together, they never forgot the promise they made under the starlit sky. Years later, as they stood at a cliff's edge, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of red and orange, she turned to him with a smile. "You were right," she said softly, her hand finding his. "We can face anything together." He squeezed her hand tightly, their fingers intertwined like the promise they'd made years ago. "And we will," he replied, looking at her with love and admiration. In that moment, they both knew that their journey was far from over, but with each other by their side, they were ready for whatever lay ahead.